Welcome to the Gives in the Bank Recruiting Podcast, brought to you by BuckeyeScoop.com. I'm your host, Marc Givler, joined as always by Bill Greene. Some interesting things going around this week that we're going to get to with the 2021 class. The first thing is JT Tuimoloau, five-star defensive lineman out of Washington. Ohio State's biggest recruit. Let's not pull punches here. He's Ohio State's biggest remaining recruiting target. I think some things got lost in translation this week. Ari Wasserman wrote an update on The Athletic talking about the battle for JT and for the number one recruiting class. There was a I don't want to steal Ari's story here, but there was a point in the story where he mentioned Alabama, having like the inside track or whatever. He was talking about the number one class there. I don't believe he was referring to Alabama having the inside track for JT. So I think people need to kind of understand that when we're in the context of what we're talking about here. But Bill, where do you have that one right now? And is Alabama the biggest threat? Are they leading? Is Ohio State leading? Kind of what do you think?
I do think Alabama's the biggest threat. They're Alabama. It's Nick Saban. They do a great job with D linemen. I do think Ohio State is clearly the leader here. Ohio State can match, throw Larry Johnson at him with the Bosa's and, all the D linemen he's put in the NFL. So they match that there. And then I just think the relationships with Brian Hartline, Larry Johnson go longer than what the relationships with Bama are. I wouldn't discount the G. Scott Sr., G. Scott Jr. angle as well. I think it's Ohio State and Alabama. I think if the kid wanted to stay home and be part of the Washington program, he would have committed long ago, really helped try to build that class. He's given them no indication he's going there and is the hometown hero, home state kid. I think it's Ohio State and Bama. I don't know how Bama jumps in front here without an official. So my pick is still on Ohio State to land JT. Now, you'd rather go against Michigan State or Virginia Tech or Texas Tech for this kid, not Alabama. But I think Ohio State can win this one, and don't see any clear advantage for Alabama over Ohio State in this one when it comes to relationships. And, I've been doing this a long time, and it always comes down to comfort and relationships for me.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's got a pretty good lead right now. The thing I continue to point to is if things weren't in a good spot, wouldn't Ohio State be out there kicking the tires on 5 or 6 other defensive linemen? I mean, they can't sign 3 defensive linemen. They've got to sign another guy. And I know you're going to hold out for JT because of how good he is, but I don't think you'd hold out to the point of risking signing only 3 defensive linemen in a class you need to have at least 4. So I just keep looking at that. I just throw that to you, Bill. Wouldn't they be offering, a handful of other defensive linemen if they thought this one was getting dicey?
No, they definitely would. And when you talk about holding out, if that's what your strategy is, you truly are holding out because he's not going to sign until the end. It's not like he would sign in December and then you would have 6 weeks to try to recover from that. He's not signing early. He's not signing to the end. So if you are going to hold out for JT, you are truly holding out until 2022 if you don't get him.
Yeah, I look at this the way we saw this with Taiwan Malone. They certainly got, and rightfully so, they got kind of a heads up that things weren't going well there. All of a sudden, Tyleik Williams is in the class and that was kind of an insurance thing of like, okay, we have to fill this spot, and we really like Tyleik Williams, and we can get Tyleik Williams, so let's take him, and then we'll continue to recruit Taiwan Malone and see what happens. I think they would do something similar with JT right now. I think they would take somebody else's insurance right now and roll the dice. JT's not going to be, I don't think JT's going to be scared off by any player in the country. I don't know why he would. So I think you would see more activity. So that tells me they feel pretty good, and they're not going to leak that. They are not going to leak an over amount of confidence here. They are going to want to probably, even if they knew they had him, I think they're going to want to keep that one as close to the vest as possible until he signs. There's really no reason to tip off any other schools, and I think they're going to play that one tight. And but I think if you watch, the watch what they do, not what they say stuff, I think looks good for Ohio State right now. All right, big announcement tomorrow, Saturday, 4:30 p.m. ish. Top 100 safety Derrick Davis Jr., Gateway High School outside of Pittsburgh. Ohio State, Penn State, LSU. Bill, final thoughts here. We're, just a little more than 24 hours away from his announcement.
Yeah, there's a school of thought out there that Derrick Davis has all of a sudden become not a taker for Ohio State. And I believe that is ridiculous. And I think you do too. So I think we could probably put that to bed. Take him. I think they love him. They put a lot into this recruitment. This recruitment didn't start, 3 months ago. It started 3 years ago almost. And they put a lot into this kid. They love the kid, what he does on the field. They love him off the field. So they want this kid pretty. The nice thing about, kind of us being at Buckeye Scoop together now, even though we compared notes in the past when we were competing companies, but we sure do a lot more of it now. And my info that I'm getting is sort of leaning to Penn here. And after talking to you, I'm kind of willing to put my info in the background. And I think you've got better info than I have, which are things that, if we're at competing companies, that probably doesn't come through. But I like where you are in this. I think you've got better info than I have. So I'm rolling with you in this one. So that's kind of an easy way. Take the easy way out and blame Givler when it goes bad. But I like everything you've said, a lot of things you've said publicly, and I think you've got this one nailed. And I'm totally riding with you. And if I felt differently than what you did, you know me well enough to know that I would just stick to my guns and we'd see who was right and laugh about it afterwards. But I think you won, especially the part about Penn State probably running third here, which is really interesting to me, but I'm rolling with you here.
Yeah, I see what you guys are doing. You're setting me up to be the fall guy. You're all setting me up. This is all a conspiracy.
You get all the credit or all the blame. This is all yours here.
The quarterback.
This is a great position to be in.
Yeah. All right. So I've been out on a bit of an island here the last several months with my Ohio State pick. I'm on the island. I might as well just double down and not even double down. I'm gonna probably, this is almost like tripling down. I'm going to be a little more out. I'm going to go a little more out on the island. If I was on an island, this was something, this is like one of the Florida Keys or something like that, kind of just off the coast. No, now I'm like out there in the middle of the ocean, because I do not think it's going to be Penn State. That is my most confident stance on this right now. I do not think he's going to Penn State. I know saying I think he's going to Ohio State is kind of already saying that, but I think Penn State's running third right now, which 24 hours away from an announcement means you're out. I mean, if you're running third 24 hours before an announcement, you're probably out. I know that's
well, let me stop you.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt you. I mean, LSU. He went there last weekend. There's not going to be an official visit. I don't know what the relationships were like with LSU. It's like they've come out of the clouds here. Is LSU truly, you say Penn State's running third, you got LSU running two. How legit can LSU be here?
I'll put it this way. I would be mildly surprised if it was LSU, but I would not be floored at this point. I would not be floored.
Wow.
What I've said in the past, both on this program, on Morning Scoop, on the message board, is I think in a non-COVID world, LSU could have really made life difficult for Ohio State and Penn State. Derrick has always liked the program. It's been a defensive backs factory over the years, which he really likes. He does a lot of research on that type of stuff. Really likes what they've done there in the secondary over the years. And I think in a world where he could have, maybe made an unofficial visit back in the spring and then done an official in the summer or in the fall or whatever, I think LSU could have really, really made life difficult. But I think I maybe have even underestimated that a little bit. I think they have made life a little bit difficult right now. It was a good visit for whatever reason. The team wasn't there on campus. While Derrick was there, I think maybe they may have gotten back before he left, but it wasn't a thing where he was able to hang out with all the coaches or obviously it's a dead period. So the campus was virtually empty. They played a road game against Auburn last week, but I think he's looking at what they've done recently. If you go by his iron sharpens iron type of comments he's made over the past year about wanting to go against, great players and compete with great players, LSU makes some sense on that front. They've had great defensive backs. They continue to recruit great defensive backs. They continue to recruit really good receivers to go against in practice. I think Penn State's, let me attack this from the other angle. I think Penn State's lack of momentum in their own home state has caused some pause here, and I think that's been going on for a while. I don't think this just came up this week. Part of my reasoning for being somewhat comfortable with my Ohio State pick has been I didn't think it'd be Penn State, and that's been the case for a long time now. Now just LSU is now in there kind of making this a little tricky, but I just think their lack of momentum in the state of Pennsylvania. I think he's got better relationships with the Ohio State kids versus the Penn State kids, which I think does matter. And I think the life after football component at Ohio State's been very appealing to him, and just the name, image, likeness stuff in a city of 1 million people is appealing. So right now my pick's on Ohio State. It's my final thoughts here is my pick is Ohio State. I think LSU has a puncher's chance to pull off what would be considered a major, major surprise. And my most confident pick is that it's not going to be Penn State. I just don't think it's going to be Penn State. I think it would have been Penn State forever ago if he was going to go there. I think he's had every opportunity to make that call for Penn State. And for whatever reason, whether it was Clemson maybe a year or so ago and Ohio State and LSU over the past year, he just hasn't got to that point yet with Penn State. I don't think it's going to happen now. So we'll see what happens.
The last thing I would have is, this kid pretty well, the family, assuming whoever he picked on Saturday, any chance he could be turned away from that and flipped away from whatever school he picks? Or do you think he's the kind of kid that when it's in the books tomorrow, it's over?
I think it's probably over, but if it's LSU, I think you have to wonder what that would mean for the next, 6 weeks or whatever would be left. Just because that would be such a surprise off of, a very limited visit where he's never met with the coaching staff in person. I guess if you're Ohio State or Penn State, maybe if it is LSU, that maybe you would obviously continue to kick the tires there. If it's Ohio State, I think it's over. And if I'm totally wrong and it's Penn State, I also think I think that then I've just totally misread this whole thing, and that's where he was going to go. But unless if it's LSU, maybe if it's not, if it's a Big Ten school, I think it's over.
All right, man, that breaks it down about as well as we can break it down. 24 hours out.
Yeah, I just went from, I was out on my own little island there, and I just said, let me get a little further away from civilization and go out. Well, let's go. There's another island even further down there. Let me go out onto that one now and see. But so we'll see. I know what I'm in for if I'm wrong. Trust me. So we'll see what happens. But I like my information. It's been verified by a couple people I would really trust on this. We'll see what happens. 24 hours, 30 hours, or whatever we are now from the announcement, and we will see. But this one could get a little weird. We'll see what happens, and again, we'll catch up with you guys next week. I think that's all. Anything else, Bill? I think we just wanted to kind of go over the JT.
No, I think that's
yep. Cool.
Yep,
well, I will be out tonight watching the two best 2023s in Ohio. Sonny Styles and Brennan Vernon are kind of doing battle there, Pick Central Menor. So we'll have some stuff from that here this weekend and in the next week. I'm sure Bill and I will discuss kind of our weekend stuff here next week for you as well. I think, Bill, you're going to watch Massillon, right? Jaden Ballard.
Yeah, well, no. What are you talking about? I'm going to watch Perry.
Oh, that's right.
I'm going with Martin, man. We're Perry guys. Like, I don't even know who they're playing. You say they're playing Massillon? We don't even know who they're playing. We're going to watch Perry.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Massillon Perry tonight. Looking forward to seeing Jaden Ballard, obviously. I mean, Jaden's so special. Still looking at Terrence Rankle, Andrew Wilson Lamp. I love those kids. They're so talented. Massillon's got the sophomore running back who's just killing it right now, kind of reminding me of a bigger Todd Sibley type. So a lot to see tonight. It'll be fun to be out there with Kirk, and I'll try to keep him from running on the field, killing one of the refs when Perry starts getting beat. So it'll be an interesting night, that's for sure.
Yeah, try and keep him out of the headlines, please. That's going to be, we got some momentum right now at Buckeye Scoop. We don't need any craziness. So try and keep him under control. All right. Well,
if he gets tased tonight. Hey, Mark, if he gets tased tonight, I'll make sure I film it.
There you go. If we're going to take the hit, at least we'll get the clicks, right? Let's we'll make sure we get that on video for everybody. All right. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.